Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. Man. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. I'm gonna do it a little differently. I will give you the appropriate welcome, but I'm gonna do it a little differently today. I want to pull everybody on stage, man. We got a full house, and I'm so excited. I want to pull everybody on stage and just check and see how everybody is doing today. This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. I'm so excited that we have Wilton Jackson II back in the house. And so I wanted to give him a solo shot real quick. Give him a solo shot. We're proud of the man here, Wilton Jackson. He's been taking care of family business, so we certainly understand that. But we just wanted to acknowledge Wilton Jackson II. He's back in the house. With all things being said, Wilton, how are you?
I'm doing good, Doc. I'm glad to be back. As you just said it so eloquently, like definitely been dealing with the family things, but I'm glad to be back. I feel like I've been gone so long. I feel like AD Drew still lying here and there every now and then. I know Charles on here giving everybody hell per se, so I'm not worried about that. I'm just glad to be back amongst you guys, though, for real.
No, these folks still take care of business now, but don't get it twisted. Charles was snuck out a little bit. He was out on AD was out a little bit, so you wasn't the only one gone.
AD be working while he out though.
I want to describe this a little differently and give everybody a little love in terms of who's been out, as they acting like they all goody two shoes. No, they been out too, man. Don't let them tell you them stories. They been out on quote unquote assignment. I'm trying to figure out what that even mean nowadays when people say out on assignment. It's something else. But with that being said, shout out to Charles Bishop back in the house after seriously having to take care of the family as well. So I'm glad to hear as we talk that all is well. But it's good to have you back in the house. AD was literally on working assignment. He found a way to sneak in himself. So I'm going to give him a round of applause. He is the A student of the day. You all are A minuses. Y'all still A students, but y'all A minus. You know what I'm saying?
I'll take my A minus.
Just set the curve over here, man.
That's right.
The curve. And
I've never been more happy to get an A minus in my life.
And Will, even when you're out on assignment, you can still watch to catch up on the notes later. Will.
Yeah,
and he has. I'm sure he has. He looked prepared and ready to go. He's suited and booted, so
yeah,
I'll give him that for sure. I tried to do the Charles Bishop, put on my little golf shirt, even though I like to drink. I ain't gonna go out there and do no golf.
Charles probably just got off the golf.
Do top golf all that way.
And fellas, I apologize for not getting the memo of having to wear a collar. So I apologize.
Yeah, he ain't even in the Morehouse. They went all swag. He go in, bring his AD on. Then now he didn't already see. That's why you don't have your SIAC card. They took it out. Have me about to cuss on the show. Welcome to episode 824. As you see, the guys are having fun and life is good. We're blessed, particularly with a lot of folks having to struggle with things that we're trying to explain right now in a country that many of us may not seriously understand what's going on. And I ain't even talking about the NCAA. I'm talking about other stuff in general. Welcome to episode 824 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics. There you go. Get it right. Baseball, too. From the NAIA to the NCAA, we share information, as we said, on the HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports. In short, we just call it the HBCU sports pedagogy. I am your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, who is still literally on assignment, and Charles Bishop. And he ain't even doing the Brazil. You know, Brazil, we kind of let him try to have some envy. You're not even Brazil, so I'm still trying to figure this one out. But we have Charles Bishop, Wilton Jackson II. AD Drew is always going to come in to be the designated hitter, if not the pinch hitter, as Wilton Jackson does at times. And he'll clean the bases if you're not careful. Send you to Omaha. We are filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to K-Sway's 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer Ralph Cooper, in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. With that being said, kind of checked on Wilton. We said, how you doing, Charles and AD? So let's just get into some news now. Charles, what news is on your mind?
Yeah, let's take a look at it as SWAC student athletes. They qualify for the 2026 NCAA Outdoor Track and Field Championships. The SWAC will be represented by 5 championship entries at the 2026 NCAA Outdoor Track and Field Championships, scheduled to start on tomorrow, June 10th through the 13th, at Hayward Field in Eugene, Oregon, as Southern's Tashina Alisay, Alabama State's Dadrian Bevel, Alabama A&M's Justin Walker, and Florida A&M's Leonard Mastari, and the Florida A&M women's 4x100 meter relay team all secured berths to the national championship meet following their performances at the NCAA East first round competition in Lexington, Kentucky. So want to give a shout out to all those student athletes, 4x100 team as well. So looking forward to them competing in Eugene, Oregon over the next few days.
Good stuff, good stuff. Wilton Jackson II, what you come in to the world with? What you got going on?
Well, Doc, I mean, it's ironic that this news happened, just now, but I'll be remiss if I didn't bring up the fact that we get Jackson State, Tennessee State again, obviously this year, but the location has changed. So one of HBCU football's longest rivalries, which had a brief hiatus, will be played at a different location than originally planned. Monday morning, Tennessee State announced that its game with Jackson State, the John L. Merritt Classic, will take place at Vanderbilt University's First Bank Stadium on Saturday, August 29th. We're excited to bring the John A. Merritt Classic to First Bank Stadium and honor Coach John Merritt's legacy at a venue where he enjoyed tremendous success, Tigers athletic director Mickey Allen said in a statement released by the university. We appreciate the partnership of Vanderbilt University and the Tennessee Titans in helping make this special event possible for our student athletes, alumni, and fans. And so, Doc, I can assure you, Jackson State fans are glad that this game is coming back. Tennessee State fans are glad this game is coming back. Even just as a journalist, as a reporter, remembering the last version of this game, I'm glad that it's coming back and we get a real good rendition of these two teams playing each other. So it should be an exciting game.
Yeah, I like the article, really good article, breaking it down, tying in some history. The only thing I told Stephen that he didn't get in the article is he didn't go back and tie the Midwestern Conference in there. I think he said he'd save it for later, but I say these teams go back to conference mates. They were once in the same conference, people.
Right.
With obviously some of the 4th-round years back there when they were both in the Midwestern Athletic Conference, also known as the Midwestern Conference for a short period of time. Charles?
No, and there's a huge Tennessee State fan base that sits right there in Jackson. Big lineage from when Big John left Jackson State going to Tennessee State. Brought a lot of Mississippians up there to Nashville. In fact, we just lost one of those former players, Bo Brown, who's a former city council, former legislator in Mississippi. Also the father of Alabama A&M's basketball coach, Don Brown. So definitely condolences to that family. But he's part of that lineage of Tennessee State Tigers that are there in the Jackson, Mississippi areas.
Good stuff, Ty. We might get into some deeper talk there just in general in terms of how the tie went in there with getting back on Vanderbilt. Obviously, a lot of Tennessee folks, though, they are not excited about going to Vanderbilt. It reminds me of many folks, the older generation, if you would, those elders that remember an ugly period of time and didn't like the idea that some talk about FAMU to Florida State or Southern to LSU, those kind of significant components when you have both institutions in the same city. When I say historically black college or historically white college, state supported. This one is a little different with Vanderbilt being private, but you certainly can understand what they are talking about when they say they are not happy about having to play over there. And you already talked about Dr. Mickey Allen, and some of the concerns that the coaches put out. You had a show that talked about some of the alumni booster groups and other groups that support athletics, their concerns. This doesn't help those that had those concerns in terms of having to move over there. And I'm not sure if this one is all on Mickey. Obviously, some people believe the communication wasn't there, and so they need to hear a little more about what that looks like. With that being said, AD Drew, what news is on your mind?
In case you missed it, HBCU All-Star baseballs and softball games occurred this past weekend in the Charlotte area of North Carolina, with the softball game being in softball game being at Stick Williams Field in Charlotte, and the baseball game being at Atrium Health Ballpark in Kannapolis, North Carolina. And I got to show this, y'all. I don't know if y'all saw this, but this right here was, I've never seen a game end this way, let alone a game, but an all-star game in like this, y'all.
Trying to get.
Oh, I think I know where this is going.
Billy Harris.
Can y'all hear the
Rocks
sound?
and fires there.
Yes.
But over the second baseman, out into right field. One run will score. They'll send another one to the plate. It's going to be close.
And
There's the tag out at the plate. They got Garcia trying to come home after the single to right field, and the throw coming in from the right fielder was right on the mark, as the catcher Hicks able to squeeze it at the plate, turn, and applied the tag. And just like that, Team Billy Harris claims the 4th annual HBCU Softball All-Star Championship.
Congratulations to the winning squad there.
Look at that. I think we had that replay on the shot out the right field out there in the grass. As you see the replay coming here. And just coming up with the ball, didn't go very far beyond the infield. And the throw at the plate, it's a gem coming straight up the line. And they got the tag on Garcia coming in. And Team Billy Harris wins it in big-time fashion here on that final play of the ball game.
I know it's an all-star game.
Mm-hmm.
Are you that aggressive with somebody that maybe, and I want to be careful about that is not looking as they are fleet of foot?
Apparently you are.
Well, here's the thing. You
make that call?
You got coaches
I like
first
being
and third
aggressive,
base
all-star game,
who are not as familiar with the talent out there because they don't see them every day.
Mm-hmm. You got to be blind to miss that one.
I'm gonna say they were down 3, weren't they?
They were down 3. There was runner on.
It was bases loaded.
Second and third. The first run scored.
That had all 3 dots. It was bases loaded.
But here's the thing, Dr. Cavil. There was a pinch runner at second base because the person who got the hit, who got the double to second base, was not fleet of foot. So they put in a pinch runner, and the pinch runner got gunned down at the plate.
Interesting.
So,
hey, whether they were fleet of foot or not, do you send them? I guess is the question.
I mean, it's an all-star game, but the one thing you're not gonna have is extra innings. So take it.
It wasn't like the ball was deep.
It didn't go very far at all.
Yeah, just beyond the
He said on the edge.
and she threw a strike.
Oh, no. Kudos to her. The play was made.
Yeah.
Throw, but I'm asking the coaching decision in terms of sending the runner. When you just cut the lead 4-2, you got the bases loaded, keep the pressure on, and you send the next batter up and see what you can get. Put the pressure on the pitcher to make a play. You get aggressive. You're not like you're tying the game with the run.
Yeah, that would have made it a 4-3 game.
4-3.
Right. With a run on second base.
No. I know it's all. I know it's all-star game.
I've seen games in
That's the only
ways.
reason I'll give it a break. I'll let it.
But I don't think we have to worry about the integrity of that game because Brendan Sorsby was nowhere near that game.
This is true.
Hey, he don't have an issue in integrity. That's not the problem. He just likes to spend some coin. Brian.
That's all. That's it.
Brian can relate.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
He wants to call his shot.
He just Brian Fulford in another scheme.
The NCAA says that they are in the business with every decision they make for the kids. Coaches love to say it about the kids. Well, this young man, he made a mistake. We're with him.
Mm.
At this point, he hadn't broken the law. He hadn't been charged.
Hadn't broken the law. Right.
At this point. And it's not like the NCAA is in bed with all these gambling folks. They ain't encouraging it.
They do.
Can I put my 2 cents in just quickly?
I'm holding. Y'all just like to make rules. Y'all grown-ups. And y'all like to enforce everything on the students. Y'all super powerful. Y'all getting paid big bucks. And y'all and the writers just all came in like the world go in. Man, y'all folks gonna turn the game on. Same amount of folks are gonna watch baseball. The same amount of folks watch softball. It ain't over. And come football season, and we might even talk about that in this next segment, the marketing segment, to see where our viewers are in terms of marketing. But y'all still gonna tune this stuff in. Y'all not gonna boycott the SEC. Y'all not gonna do none of that. Y'all gonna turn your little happy butt on the TV.
Now you just going out today.
That they're managing you out and you don't give a doggone nothing. You don't care if it ain't nobody speaking to your needs as a voter. Y'all gonna watch the sports. You ain't got no choice. Orange man sets up, messes up a win streak. New York, fall asleep, but y'all don't care. Y'all gonna be right there. And it's not a problem. It's not a problem.
That tickled me. Georgia
right.
Let's take our last break and come on the other side and talk about marketing, the fandom, the sports escalate. Since y'all done got everybody all fired up talking about,
and not everybody, just you.
Y'all got you should play on Sunday. Y'all got mad at Tennessee State because they moving their game to a different place. Boy, what Jackson State would have said if they moved it to Sunday at 11, they would have had problems. Don't do that. Now put the game same time. We'll do the same time as the Big X Pack Challenge. That's fine. Man, get out of it. We'll be right back out of this first.
From cancer care to accidental injuries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life. But with Globe Life Family Heritage, you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com. With over 25 years of serving communities, Dr. Beverly Eagles Rogers is here to help you and your family through difficult times. Dr. Beverly takes pride in Globe Life being one of the few companies that returns 100% of premiums to clients that stay healthy. So for more information, call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com.
If you've ever told yourself, I want to get into real estate but don't know where to start, here's something just for you. From Friday, July 31st to Sunday, August 2nd, the Learn Real Estate Fast Masterclass is coming to McKenzie Office Park in College Park. You'll learn wholesaling, commercial investing, and how to purchase property with zero money or credit. I can tell you, education and access are everything. This masterclass is designed to give you both. Whether you're brand new or ready to level up, this is where you start making real moves. Enjoy free lunch, free study materials, and receive a certification of completion. So don't wait. Seats are filling fast. Do not sit on the sidelines while others build wealth. Take that first step toward ownership and legacy. Get your tickets now at learnrealestatefast.com or tickpick.com. For more information, call 678-859-3303. Master the market, build your legacy, secure your future today.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU.
This is Ryan Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJDN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Shout out to Holly, man. He make me feel like Charlie Brown and Lucy. I was just waiting. I say, oh, he gonna get me. He gonna get me. Good job, Holly. I kid you because you care. And certainly, as we move forward, let's get into this marketing escalator since y'all got me fired up. Let's get into this lecture mode. And as we bring this picture up for the escalator so you can see the dynamics here, we talk about it. I want to take you back a little bit. I'm not talking about you all as sports journalists or social media influencers, or social media commentators. I want to go back to your fandom days when you're just a pure fan. And this is certainly out there for the lab listeners. And most of you all on the show are probably high indexers when we talk about how you follow HBCU sports on social media, your live shows. Many of you all watch multiple shows, so I would say you're high there. But when you get into this social media, and we'll break down this escalator in terms of the question that I have for you, but let me define it first so we're all on the same page. So according to Bernard J. Mullins, Stephen Hardy, and William Sutton, who published Sports Marketing 4th edition, the escalator is a graphic representation of consumer movement to higher levels of involvement in a sport as a player or a fan. The escalator concept was developed by Bernie Mullin, who adapted it. Baseball executive Bill Giles' simpler staircase concept in 1978, manuscript that was the original basis for this book. The escalator suggests that sports organizations should invest in first and foremost in nurturing existing consumers to retain them, right? The second step is focusing on casual fans, which is growth. So you want to first retain, and then you want to what? Grow. To make more avid fans. The final step is trying to create new fans, which is acquire. You want to create new fans. So you have retain your current fans. You want to grow them in terms of their index of their fandom, if you would allow me to use that framework. The final step is to always look to acquire new fans. Although the campaign to attract new fans are important, they cannot match for impact a strategy that moves current consumers a few steps up the escalator of involvement and commitment. So let's start at the bottom of the escalator. You have a no aware non-consumer. They're not even aware. They don't follow HBCUs. They don't necessarily know they exist in terms of sports. Obviously, they're at the bottom. We're saying in this concept, you're saying that you don't do a lot of focus on them. They're too far out of reach, and it would cost you so much money to make them aware and get them even on the escalator that's not necessarily where you want to focus your money. Then you have the misinformed non-U consumer. So they've been told for so long that HBCU sports is not relevant, not real, not functional, that they're not even aware of what sports are played by HBCUs, what level they play on, the history, obviously, they're not aware of. They have no clue about how big, for some people, the Jackson State and Tennessee State matchup is. They don't have any clue that Texas Southern and Prairie View are rivals, and that's a big game. Grambling State and Jackson Southern, while some people could not imagine that people are not aware of the Bayou Classic. There are some folks out there that are misinformed about why that classic is important. Then you have the aware consumer, non-consumer. These are ones that you may tacitly look at focusing on, right? Then you have the media consumer. Those folks may not have the income, but they're big fans, so they follow a lot on TV, right? And so can you get them from the couch into the stadium? What would that take, right? Then you have what we call the first major steps of consumers. These are folks that actually buy tickets in some manner from various sports. We'll focus on football at this time. You have those which are called light users. They started one, right? They may come to homecoming. They may come to a classic, but they don't necessarily, outside of that, go to home game. You got 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and you get the message. Those that use it a little more maybe go to 2 games, may go to a Southern Jackson State game at home because they understand it's a big deal, so they'll go there. Then you have the next step, 7 and 8. These are your medium users. They're a little higher involved. They buy season tickets. They might just buy general admission season tickets, but they're buying season tickets, right? They're pretty loyal individuals. Then you have your heavy user. These are these folks that had your tickets for several years. No matter what the price point, they may complain again a little bit here and there, but they write those checks. They love standing in line, writing checks to get their tickets. They might be online. Those ones that call you got to work with if you're in the athletic office because they like to bring their check in and talk to you a little bit, ask you what you think, what you seen out there. They want to feel good. They heavy use. All right. You also got your heavy users, those folks that have the money. They want to be at the game, but they want to be catered to a little more. So they got the suites. You know, these are big time boosters. They put in money. They set up the NIL to help make sure they get the best quality fans. So, Wilton, you back. You are the youngest, and you know the rules here. You have to be a man of Kappa Alpha Psi, so you know we always gonna get our little punches in on that. So you get to go first. Before your media stuff, because I know you're there in the media. Yeah. I've seen you. Yeah. You spend your money, you get some dividends, you do your shows. So from a media perspective, you're a heavy user, high on that. So I want you to take that to the side. But I want to ask you in terms of your fandom year. Where were you in terms of your fandom on the escalator?
Before covering HBCU?
Yeah, before covering. We won't take you back now. See, you can't cheat and talk about what you
I'm not going to cheat.
I want to know what your fandom is. Now, everybody got to tell on yourself. All y'all live listeners out there.
Yeah.
I just broke it down. So don't be talking about you go to homecoming, you're a heavy user.
Yeah.
Don't lie. You can lie to us, but you can't lie to yourself. I need to know where you are. Talking to them lab listeners. But we going to tell you where we are. We're going to open up a little bit today.
Yeah.
Before we take our next break, I know Wilton got to get out of here, so we're going to give you a chance to do your spiel. We'll take a quick break, and then we're going to do a tease, and we're going to come back with Charles and AD Drew to break theirs down. So, Wilton, where are you on this escalator?
So for me, I won't say that I was a heavy user because based off everything that you described, what a heavy user is. Yes. So I have to go back to my childhood, and I would say I'll probably put myself somewhere along like the medium range, only because my dad went to an HBCU, went to Jackson State. My mom went to an HBCU. She went to Texas Southern, then to Jackson State. So for me, fandom, HBCU sports, anything sports related, the start of it, me liking it, started from an HBCU. To get even more into the fandom, I think I've said this on the show before. I grew up watching and looking at players that I could like reach out and touch was like the Robert Kents, the TCs, the Tanaka Counselors, the Tim Mannings. Like, I'm like, dude, like I thought these guys were like rock stars to me, you know. And then of course you get to from a basketball standpoint, you get to, I can remember watching Trey Johnson play. You know, I remember him being from JPS, but then of course coming to Jackson State and watching him like being the leading scorer in the nation, right? So for me, it was just like HBCU sports or just understanding sports in general. I wanted to go to games. And when we were in high school, and I went to Jim Hill, JPS product, we looked forward to going to games. And sometimes even when the team wasn't great, we knew that we was going for the boom. We was going to the Jackson State Alcorn game. We was going to homecoming. We was going to first game. But if you were a band head, you was probably trying to go to every single game. And I was a band head. So I wanted to go to every single game, football, basketball, and even because my mom was a professor at Jackson State, she used to teach in the TBLS building. They're not even using that building anymore right now. And it wasn't, I guess you could say, it wouldn't surprise you how many athletes that you would see, like just kind of walking in and out of there. I mean, you talk about the Robert Kents, the Kendrick Travis, the Cletus Gordons. I mean, goes on and on and on and on. So for me, some people may look at me and say, like, well, he went to an HBCU to get his second master's degree, but he got his undergrad from Southern Miss and then his first master's from LSU. But like what you don't know is that anything that's been inundated with me when it comes to sports started with HBCUs. True and true.
Very good answer. So here's the test of the spoils. You said you're a medium user. There's nothing wrong with that. You can climb. You can climb. You ain't got to stay a medium user. This is not about the folks who's like, oh, I feel attacked. No, this is just for you to admit where you are.
Yeah. On a fandom side.
On a fandom side. And you can climb. You can get better.
Yeah.
You want to be a heavy user so you can talk your talk. Now you know what that is about. Now you know where you are.
Yeah.
You can't be self-indulgent. You got to know that. So I need to know, and this is for the people, Will. So you're doing this for the people.
Yeah.
I appreciate your truthfulness. Were you a 7 or an 8 as a medium user?
In my childhood years before reporting it, I would probably say a 7.
Okay. Fair. That's good. I appreciate it. So we're gonna take our next break. Wilton has another assignment he has to get to. We're gonna come back and we're gonna hear the truth from Charles and AD Drew. Where were they? Before they became media specialists and got into business and sports? They heavy now. Including Wilton, they heavy. They big bucks. They got me making them come on the show every Tuesday and Thursday, talk about it when they don't show up. They heavy. Anybody deal with that is heavy. A+. I take back my A-. Y'all got an A+. Let's take our second break and come back on the other side and see what Charles and AD, the professors, have to say on this. Thank you, Will.
If you've ever told yourself, I want to get into real estate but don't know where to start, here's something just for you. From Friday, July 31st to Sunday, August 2nd, the Learn Real Estate Fast Masterclass is coming to McKenzie Office Park in College Park. You'll learn wholesaling, commercial investing, and how to purchase property with zero money or credit. I can tell you, education and access are everything. This masterclass is designed to give you both. Whether you're brand new or ready to level up, this is where you start making real moves. Enjoy free lunch, free study materials, and receive a certification of completion. So don't wait. Seats are filling fast. Do not sit on the sidelines while others build wealth. Take that first step toward ownership and legacy. Get your tickets now at learnrealestatefast.com or tickpick.com. For more information, call 678-859-3303. Master the market, build your legacy, secure your future today.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter. From cancer care to accidental injuries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life. But with Globe Life Family Heritage, you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com. With over 25 years of serving communities, Dr. Beverly Eagles Rogers is here to help you and your family through difficult times. Dr. Beverly takes pride in Globe Life being one of the few companies that returns 100% of premiums to clients that stay healthy. So for more information, call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill inside the HBCU Sports Lab. So we ended last segment talking about the sports marketing escalator. We broke it down to you in terms of those outside. We really got into some context with the consumer side, right? We went right before it with the media consumer, those that watching on TV. And then we jumped into the consumers, which we started with light consumers. And as you saw, that's a bigger window when you talk about the light consumers. It has the biggest spread, if you would. Then you had the medium users, then you had the heavy users. And again, this is not about you feeling attacked. Get out your feelings, but we do need you to be truthful because then we're going to ask you at the end of this assignment to put in there and put a little thought, whether it's today or Thursday, to talk about how and what it would take to move you. So that's your homework assignment. What is it going to take to move you? Then I will look at that and see if the value of what it takes to move you makes sense to the athletic department in terms of the revenue cost perspective and whether it's likely that they're going to get a profit or a loss based on looking at your design and desires to move you up the escalator, which will give you some input of what it really takes to move you. With that being said, what everybody is waiting for is to hear where these two gentlemen feel. I'm going to start with the star of the show, Charles Bishop, since he has been with us for
his name in the jingle.
he's in the jingle. How much more can you get to that? Charles. Now, this before you media, because I know where you're on media, because I done pulled and tugged. I don't even have to do it hard. Hey, Charles, we're going in. Say less.
Yeah.
He's on it. We there. However time we got. And then even when I changed in terms of my role at Texas Southern University, Charles said, I got to get there. I'm catching up with him. He already there. I couldn't get out of her. So I know where you are now. That's a heavy use. But before all this, where were you in terms of using? And yours is interesting because for a significant period of time, you were out of the city. You were in Houston with the family, younger kids. So you can maybe compartmentalize this as a kid in Jackson growing up, because I know you love to talk about that. And then as a young adult. Because I would guess that those are probably two different users.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, obviously, I grew up in Jackson, and I'm very immersed in Jackson State football, HBCU culture, and I had a unique childhood growing up in that my entire block literally was somebody that went to Jackson State, somebody that went to Alcorn, somebody went to Grambling, somebody went to Tennessee State, somebody who went to Mississippi Valley. So there was a broad spectrum of just SWAC represented just on my street. So and so when I see Deuce and you around, I'm Deuce. I'm very much immersed into all things that were SWAC, and it's. I was actually having this conversation with Earl Sanders last week, who's Tougaloo's baseball coach, but he was all world to me. You know, it's funny, Wilton talking about all the players, but when you saw Lewis Tillman, when you saw Earl Sanders, when you saw a lot of those people, those were your first sports heroes. And I kind of laugh about it, just the culture, even around Jackson. We never, even growing up, we never talked about anything within the SEC. It was all everything at the barbershop. It was all SWAC all the time. In junior high, it was all Jackson State, all whomever, just all the time. And then even from me going through that, even when Jackson State's on the road, we would follow them on the road. When we didn't follow them on the road, we'd hitch a ride down to Alcorn, because my neighbor was a big Alcorn State booster. So we ride down there in the RV. So I was always immersed in it, even through high school, college, obviously. When I moved to Houston, that was the first time that I had not been attached to Jackson State football. So literally the first 3 years I'm in Houston, I'm literally flying back to every home game. So that's how immersed and part of it that it was. And I, learned to start going to Texas Southern Prairie View games. And so when I didn't get back to a Jackson State game, which, be honest with you, I still got in at least 3 games a season. If I could not get to every game, I was still flying back quite a bit. So it was, it's always been a part of me. It is, like I said, I laugh when I see you and Deuce, because that's me literally growing up immersed within everything HBCU culture.
Yeah, I see when you crack this smile, and I see yourself every once in a while. That's why that time I saw him wearing a Jackson State hat, I just cackled. I just was like, yeah, that's Uncle Alfred Charles getting it ready.
Yeah. And I laugh because when car flags became a popular thing, late 80s, like everybody on my block had their car flag representing their respective schools. So, and you saw that entire culture around Jackson as a whole. If it wasn't a Jackson State car flag, you had a Tennessee State car flag, So, and it really isn't until Raycom Sports comes in the 90s with the SEC that you get this different paradigm of football, because everybody I was around, it was all SWAC all the time.
Yeah, WSS Ram Nation said, take it back. Charles was spoiled.
I was very spoiled.
That's a good thing. I think Deuce was spoiled, and I love it in terms of his emergence in HBCU sports. So, and I say a lot of ways, you're a heavy user with Jackson State, obviously as a young individual and then even as a young adult, when you start talking about having to pay for tickets to get home, that puts you in a heavy user. You're committed to that. And so for a lot of folks in athletics, it's about trying to find ways to maintain your connection. And so that's something that's out there for those to understand that if you have heavy users and they're committing that, you as marketing people in the department have to find a way to keep that connection, because you don't want to lose a heavy user. You're trying to get people to heavy users, so you don't want to lose a heavy user. So you got to make sure that you are doing things to show the heavy users that you respect the fact that they are that high on the total vote. And I would say the way you talk about Jackson State and the SWAC, you were actually high as a high level medium, if not heavy user, even the SWAC. I would suggest your HBCU sports fandom has come on later as more of a media person.
Yeah.
But for the longest period of time, you were actually indexing pretty high as a SWAC user as well, which is important when you move from your institution and what a conference has to look like, because they have to do the same thing. They need to look at their low, medium, and high users. And what do they need to do to move those individuals on that? And I would say almost everybody that is a heavy or medium user to their team, at the very least, they are a low or low-level medium user to the SWAC. So you have them. So it's just sliding them up that medium and move them to a higher user. And that's where you get, in a lot of ways, where the CIAA is. They have a lot of folks that were medium or high users to their institution, but when it came to CIAA basketball tournament, there were high-level, medium, and heavy users there, and it's easier to move those folks up that escalator. Now what do they have to do is maintain that. How do they cultivate it? How do they bring younger folks into that high-level, medium, and heavy users, right? So I wanted to kind of showcase you on that in terms of what that looks like. We're going to take our last break and bring back Eddie Drew. And I think I saved him purposely as the last one because he's unique in some of his fandom, certainly different than what we heard from Wilton and Charles, just because of where he was reared. And so we're going to bring that perspective in there such that you understand of how you also cultivate folks from moving, as I would imagine, to a non-consumer to a consumer, to such a way that he moved all the way up to he even became a journalist media individual as a heavy user and works in sports at a HBCU institution. Think about his transformation. We'll be right back to tell that story and where he ranks himself early and later as well, maybe when he absolutely and decided to go to FAMU. We'll be right back after this last break to tell that story from an AD Drew perspective.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
Planning an event? From weddings to corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC brings over 15 years of experience to make your vision a reality. Based in Metro Atlanta and serving statewide, even internationally, we provide versatile event planning and authentic catering cuisines tailored to your needs. Whether it's pre-game meals for student athletes, fundraisers, weddings, corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC is your one-stop solution for exceptional service and unforgettable food. Our diverse culinary heritage means we cater to all cultural tastes, dietary needs, and food restrictions, making every meal uniquely yours. Let's make your next event unforgettable. Visit us on all social media at CMJ Events LLC or email us at cmjevents llc@gmail.com. Also give us a call at 404-664-3882 so that we can start planning now. From cancer care to accidental injuries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life. But with Globe Life Family Heritage, you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com. With over 25 years of serving communities, Dr. Beverly Eagles Rogers is here to help you and your family through difficult times. Dr. Beverly takes pride in Globe Life being one of the few companies that returns 100% of premiums to clients that stay healthy. So for more information, call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
When you're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics, there's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is out on assignment, but we have Charles Bishop, A.D. Drew, the professors in the building. We ended the last segment and told you that we're going to tell and ask the question from an A.D. Drew perspective. We know where we are. We're looking at the sports marketing index, if you would. So we're going to jump right back into it. A.D. Drew, where were you on this index? And again, this is not your work experience or your media journalist perspective, if you would, but previous to that, where were you on the index?
I don't know where I was on the list, Dr. Cavil, and let me tell you why. I grew up in the Midwest. There were really no HBCUs in that area. Yeah. Well, let me back up. Up to the 8th grade, I went to school with nothing but people who looked like me. Problem was, my teachers did not look like me, so I knew nothing about an HBCU up until that point. Then, a full 180, I go to a high school where a majority of the people don't look like me, because I'm going out there as part of desegregation, which happened a lot in a lot of cities during the 80s. So I go to a high school where people who did not look like me. Once again, there was one teacher who looked like me. And, you know, she's one of the people who kind of pushed me to explore different opportunities. Still didn't talk to me about HBCUs, though. All I know is, I grew up a sports fan. St. Louis Cardinal fan, St. Louis Blues fan, St. Louis football Cardinals at that point in time fan. You know, my grandfather listened to Jack Buck on the radio. So I grew up a sports fan first. I knew I did not want to go to high school in a similar setting. I mean, go to college in a similar setting that I went to high school around a lot of Europeans at that point in time. So I had to find out. I wanted to go to a black school. Didn't know they were called HBCUs. I just wanted to go to a black school. Hell, I thought Georgetown was an HBCU. I thought Memphis State was an HBCU. Because when I saw them on TV, all I saw was black folk playing ball for them.
Right.
you know. So I'm like, them black schools, you know. Thank God I didn't make that decision because I would have been it would have been culture shock when I got there.
Right.
But the first time I ever stepped on the campus of an HBCU was running track in a state track meet at Lincoln, Missouri, and they didn't have football. So where's my fandom at locally? I had Harris Stowe across town. It did nobody wanted to go to Harris Stowe. Harris Stowe was your fallback. You came back to go to Harris Stowe if you got kicked out of another school. That was the reputation Harris Stowe had at that point in time. So I go to this thing called the Atlanta Classic, 1989.
Look at that.
The first one. My mother's best friend growing up had moved to Atlanta, and she invited us down. You remember back in the day when you had to fill out the cards for the information, everybody, you know, you didn't do a Google or a Jot form back then, everybody. You actually had to fill out the little 3x5 postcard and everything else.
Right.
Say you was interested. And at that point in time, I was interested in going to Tennessee State. Tennessee State was on my list. I had discovered Tennessee State. I think that's when I first discovered what an HBCU was, looking at Tennessee State. And so I filled out the interest card. They were playing Florida A&M. I just filled out the card because they were there in the stadium.
Hey, Mark.
And lo and behold, you know, after everything else, I get more scholarship money because by that point in time, I had decided I was not going to be an athlete in college due to injury that I had my senior year, and I literally got lazy. I did not want to get back in shape to be at that level, knowing that I would not have a post collegiate career. And just to let everybody know, I was one of the better track runners in the state of Missouri at that point in time, but I knew I was not on that national level. So I came to Tallahassee knowing more about Florida State football than about Florida A&M football, because I grew up watching Peter Tom Willis and all those guys and some little crazy cornerback they call prime time. No, excuse me, they called Neon back then. He was Neon back then. So I just that's all I knew. So I went from that to going to the games just because, yeah, as a freshman, ain't nothing else to do on a Saturday. I ain't have a job, you know. I damn sure wasn't studying. You know, I'm trying to be some girls. I'm away from home. I'm trying to be some girls, and I happened to be the freshman who was not staying on campus. I had my own apartment because they ran out of dorm space. So you know I was trying to meet some girls. So you go from that to actually starting to learn about this HBCU space and this HBCU culture. At that point in time, it was almost 120 HBCUs at that point in time, somewhere in the teens. I can't remember exactly how many it was at that time. St. Paul's was still open. Knoxville was still open. Morris Brown was still competing. So you start learning about all these places, and then you find out there was about 5 other people at this school with people who didn't look like me actually wound up going to HBCUs, but I didn't know those HBCUs by name at that point in time. I leave Florida A&M. I think I go back for homecoming the first couple of years and everything. I still go to Atlanta for the Atlanta Classic, but that was about it. The first time I ever went to a HBCU football game that did not feature Florida A&M, ironically, was the Turkey Day Classic featuring Tuskegee and Alabama State. And the only reason I did that, because my dad was living in Tuskegee. I went to his house for Thanksgiving because I stayed in the South, because I did not move back to Missouri at that point in time. I was still living in the South. Went to his house for Thanksgiving, and they went to the game. That was just what they did. My little brother, my little sister, they went to the Turkey Day game. That was the first time I ever went to a game that didn't feature Florida A&M. And it just kind of started growing from there, till I started doing it. And it's kind of weird because and I'm just taking one step further, and I know this was a little bit off the topic, but I came into this HBCU space for real the second time when I was working on my master's. I came in as a coach. I did not come in to the media side. It's just something that I fell into, and people recognize my talent because I always had that talent for photography and writing and different things like that. And somebody just kind of suckered me into doing some stuff for them one day, and I realized that I liked it. And I knew after I got done coaching, and as a coach, you get hired to get fired, and it happens to us. So I knew it was something that I would explore at that point in time. So I did a little bit of dual roles and kind of transitioned over. But did I take the traditional route into this? No. Did my fandom come up like Charles and Wilton and yours because you guys grew up in the South, which if they wasn't around the corner from you, they was within a short drive of you? No. I had to move to the South, move 12 hours from home, and I ain't had nothing better to do. And saw that I liked it. So I don't know where that would fall at on that scale, Dr. Cavil, and I'm probably like a lot of people who did not really discover HBCUs until they actually wound up on the campus.
Oh, for sure.
Of an HBCU.
For sure. It's a lot of folks. I would say it's probably a majority of folks that come in their fandom from that space. Charles had the luxury, which is probably a smaller subset. Now, in his area, that is a larger subset, but I'm talking about more globally for HBCU. People may not realize that I really didn't get into my fandom until later. I was a casual, even though my grandfather, my dad, as I tell some folks, while he wanted to go to Tennessee State, he was pushed to go to Texas. He was there when they had the shooting of the folks from the Texas on top in the campus there, and transferred to OU where he met my mom. Fortunately, that worked out for me from that perspective. How the lights would have turned that way. But it was my senior year when I got my first index, my first consumer awareness of HBCUs from a pure fandom, similar to yourself. It wasn't the Atlanta Classic, but it was the State Fair Classic. When we went with a high school group where my parents had me involved, similar to like the girls club, boys club, and they took a trip up there and I was part of that. And that's where I first got my fandom, if you would, kind of touched. Then, similar to both of y'all, where it starts to take the next level is on campus. You have your natural action about attending games. But unlike Charles and unlike FAMU, we weren't winning at Prairie View at that time. So our fandom connection was totally different in terms of supporting a winner. And the first time I recognized it really taking off is when I got excited and I decided to go to Langston. And I happened to witness and visualize and see when Prairie View ended the streak.
Mm-hmm.
The next opportunity where my fandom really starts to rise is when we had the major upset in the tournament at that time. People forget this wasn't the first time Prairie View as an 8 seed won the tournament when they beat number 1 seed Texas Southern in Dallas, which was a true miracle of miracles, and they faced Kansas as a 16 seed in that tournament. And I flew in with some of the folks that were part of my class, and they wanted to go to the game. So I was like, "Oh, this is cool. This is what fandom is." So I partook in that, and ever since that, my fandom has taken off in terms of climbing up that ladder. Now, I say all this is to give examples that people's fandom takes off at different marks, and they start on the escalator at different marks. Because honestly, AD Drew and myself, we started off and you were asking questions. I don't know where it started. I can tell you. We were non-consumers.
At least in the HBCU space.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're talking about specifically HBCU space.
Yeah.
And I would imagine, even for yourself, did you buy tickets to any of those professional sports when you were younger?
I would go to the St. Louis Cardinals games with the straight A tickets, or the Blues games with the straight A tickets. You know when you do those type towns, and you get the straight A's and 3.0. I got free tickets, but I never purchased a ticket.
Let me get this in. Yeah, exactly. There's nothing
wrong. Let me take one step further.
Let me show you where you were, because I was the same place. You were a media consumer.
Yeah.
You got your fandom because you watched it on TV.
Exactly.
Right. And then later, when you had the resources, or somebody provided you tickets in a giveaway, or because you could get them at a decent price, then you climbed up and you became a light user because you bought a ticket there. But you started as a non-consumer to a media consumer to eventually getting into a light consumer, and then you zoomed up the charts all the way to a heavy user. And even Charles, he don't realize that he was actually a non-consumer because he didn't buy the tickets when he was little. He had no money.
Right.
His parents were heavy consumers, and they tacked him to it. So soon as he got money, it was all he knew. So he shot up the escalator as a fan, right? In terms of a heavy user. He was a light user because he was a big fan and he couldn't wait to go, but he didn't spend the money. I'm talking about spending the money as a consumer. Consumer means you got to pay, or you got to be attached. Earlier, you just media or social media fans. We got those fans out there. But I'm talking about medium and heavy user in terms of you being a consumer from the perspective of buying tickets. That's a different perspective. And that's why we're going to go to school today, because I'm going to teach some folks that don't understand this, where they are on the escalator.
I'm fascinated because I remember literally I was blown away as a freshman that there was somebody that was at Jackson State that had never seen a Jackson State game. I was like, oh, what are you, an alien? I was that
like, how does that
consumed? You know, I just,
That's appreciate you, Holly. That was perfect. Bringing it back on. You can bring it one more time before we kind of close out there and get these two final thoughts. This is the escalator. So you, again, remember you have non-users, and then you have what you call a indirect consumer, which is a media person. So it's important to put this out there. And again, it's not about shaming folks. It's about folks understanding where they are or where other folks are, because once you know where people are, then you can do certain things to push them up the escalator. See, if you don't know where somebody is, you can't attack them from a media perspective to where you would like them to be. You have to know where they are, which also allows you to put your focus in terms of how you do the market and how much you spend on the market, right? So this is the summertime where we do a little bit of the research. We do a little bit of business all the time. This is a chance for folks that are not aware of this. And now you can look at folks and you can understand where folks are on the escalator. Are you a non-consumer, indirect consumer, or a consumer, meaning not aware all the way up to a media viewer? And this will open up, which is fine, because to get people to consumers, oftentimes, like you saw AD Drew and myself, you need to get them up from non-consumers to media consumers to now actually consumers, light, and they move on up. So with the SWAC TV, which we'll get a chance to talk about Thursday a little more about that new partnership, is the fact that it's going to introduce a lot more folks as indirect consumers, as media folks, and eventually a lot of those folks will be like, hey, guess what? I want to go to the game. Now all of a sudden you got a consumer. What do you do at the game to have them from a light user to medium to move them up to a heavy user, where all of a sudden now they be like, well, I like this. I can bring my family. I can bring my children to this. This is wonderful. How they become multiple game users. all of a sudden they become season ticket users, heavy users, right? Eddie Drew, final thoughts.
Three quick points. Uh, as far as HBCU goes, and people who I used to watch, you talk about watching them on TV. The only two people I ever knew that went to an HBCU who were pro athletes at that point in time were Walter Payton, and then later on Doug Williams. Just got to throw that out there because that was always a storyline between whenever those two played on Sundays. That was number one. Number two, a lot of people with these classics. The Gateway Classic didn't even come to St. Louis until after I was already in college, so I didn't even get to experience that growing up.
Which is different from Brian that did have the Circle City Classic.
Right. It was in the 90s. It was in the mid 90s when the Gateway Classic started. And to talk about how much sports kind of influenced me, I worked at Busch Stadium and at the St. Louis Arena my senior year of high school. So that just to show you how much of a sports junkie I started out in. I made sure, I didn't go to McDonald's. I didn't do all this stuff. I worked at the stadium.
Yeah.
And
you had that opportunity because you were in a large enough city that had pro teams.
Yes.
Which some cities don't. Go ahead, Charles.
No, AD mentioned that part with regards to high school guidance counselor and teachers, but I was very fortunate that literally from elementary through high school, I always had teachers. They never talk anything but SWAC. Even through junior high, through high school, my guidance counselor, she was so super proud of Alcorn. Her room was decorated with everything Alcorn. But I was very fortunate in that.
That's right.
The HBCU experience was always pumped into me, and that was just part of the Jackson culture. So
it's very fortunate and I'm glad you put it that way because you understand the fortunate blessing you had. I do want to give one love out there to Paul Quinn College, which was in Waco at the time. They had basketball, men's and women's, and my dad used to take me to the basketball game at Paul Quinn. So that was an early introduction, and that's when they had those small arenas, Charles. So you're right, AD Drew. When you looked at that, you were in there, as you talk about Charles and Deuce, man, those folks were bigger than life. You thought they were huge, and they were sweating, and everybody was in there yelling. You like, oh man, this is different. Especially because we'd go to TSTI, which is now TSTC, or McLennan Community College, and it was a different crowd, a different atmosphere. It was a little different. Right? Not to say either was deficient, but it was certainly different. And that stuck in by how Paul Quinn, and again, that was before they are now moved to Dallas and doing a lot of good things as they transitioned and took over Bishop College campus. But I wanted to give a little update there. Wanted to share that thought process, and I hope people enjoyed the show, learned some things as they have come to appreciate what we do differently on this show. Is not just talk about the sports, but talk about the business side, and so you get it from a different perspective. So I was waiting on do this a little bit, and Wilton, Charles, and AD were perfect individuals to showcase where people come on the sports marketing escalator. So you can add that to your vocabulary. You can add that to your mix of understanding sports from a marketing perspective. And now you can't just talk about marketing. You can't just say marketing. Now you got a window a little more. This next time we're going to talk about SWOT, your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, about how you understand and take that from a marketing perspective and really build on what do you do well, what are your weaknesses, most importantly, what are your threats, what's going to get in the way, also just as important, what are your opportunities for growth. So those are things you can look at too. And thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with our friends and colleagues. I did want to do one thing before we got out of here, is wanting to recognize as HCF named SWAC Andrew Roberts to the top 10 most dominant HBCU leaders of 2027 and the 10th class of those that have been honored. Shout out to Andrew Roberts. working at the Southwestern Athletic Conference, working as an assistant at commissioner of media relations. Just wanted to give him a big shout out for the work he does. And all you media folks that have had a chance to get in this business side and cover SWACs, one person that you've had to go through if you wanted to cover SWAC is one Andrew Roberts in terms of the most recent years. He's been the individual. So you see the level of work he does, and he's getting accolades for that, and certainly want to make sure we shout him out as we end the show. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Watson, Charles Bishop. Again, I want to thank you for listening to Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Watson, Charles Bishop, A.D. Drew, and today we had none other than Wilton Jackson II as we welcome him back in the fold. He will be back at a regular time, and so look forward to having him on here regular throughout the summer and back in the fall, obviously, giving his analysis on HBCU sports. We'll be back on Thursday because, you know, we're here Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. We look forward to next Thursday or this Thursday coming up as we discuss the latest news in the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, on Threads, Facebook, and Instagram. We'll break down that partnership with SWAC. Maybe we can get a little perspective for those who may not understand the magnitude of it. Let's take a closer look at that. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, one on Facebook, Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. Dream big, continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles.
Of course.
AD.
Lecture.
Dismiss.